Hello, everyone, and welcome to Simple English Connect. I'm Anna. I'm very happy about today's episode because we're talking about something I think everyone feels sometimes. Those times when you just don't feel like doing anything. You know, when your to-do list is looking at you, but your motivation has gone on holiday. It's a very common feeling, and I hope we can find some good ways to deal with it.
Hello everyone, I'm Alex. I agree, Anna, it's a problem many people have. I like to understand how things work, and I think the reasons for this lack of motivation are very interesting. Today, we'll talk about why it happens and, more importantly, share some useful tips to help you, our listeners, deal with it. All while improving your English, of course.
Exactly. And speaking of helpful things, don't forget that in the description of this episode, you'll find a PDF file. This file has key vocabulary from our talk and some exercises. It's perfect for practicing the new words and phrases you'll hear today.
It's a very useful PDF. So, Anna, shall we start by talking about why we sometimes feel that I don't want to do anything moment?
Yes, let's start. So, Alex, this feeling of not wanting to do anything, it's so frustrating, isn't it? I sometimes have days when my to-do list is long, but my energy to start is just gone. What's usually happening then?
Well, Anna, there can be many reasons. Sometimes it's simple tiredness. Maybe you haven't had enough sleep or you've been working hard. Other times, you might be feeling overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed? You mean like when you have too many things to do and you don't know where to start?
Exactly. When a task seems too big or too complicated, it's normal to want to avoid it. Another common reason is not having clear goals. If you don't really know why you're doing something, it's hard to find the motivation to do it.
That makes sense. I remember when I was trying to learn a new recipe. It looked so difficult in the cookbook. I almost gave up before I started. I felt completely overwhelmed.
That's a perfect example. And sometimes, it's also about a fear of not doing well, a fear of failure. People might procrastinate, which means they put off doing something. They do it later because they're worried they won't do it well.
Oh, procrastination. That's a big one for me. I'll find myself cleaning my desk or checking social media instead of starting that important email.
You're not alone in that, Anna. Many experts say that procrastination is often about our feelings, not just about how we use our time. We avoid tasks that make us feel bad, like bored, not sure of ourselves, or worried.
So it's not always about being lazy then?
Not at all. Often, it's our brain trying to keep us away from uncomfortable feelings. Understanding these real reasons is the first step to dealing with the problem. Okay, let's pause for a moment and look at some useful vocabulary we've used. First, we talked about feeling overwhelmed. Definition: feeling like you have too much to do, or a task is too difficult, making you feel stressed or worried. For example, when I saw all the homework I had to do, I felt overwhelmed. Next, the word procrastinate or procrastination. Definition: to wait to do something that you should do, usually because you do not want to do it. For example, I often procrastinate when I have to do my taxes, or his procrastination meant he missed the deadline. Another important phrase is a lack of motivation. Definition: not having energy or a reason to do something. For example, his lack of motivation at work was clear. He didn't seem interested in his projects. And finally, the verb to avoid. Definition: to stay away from someone or something, or to stop something from happening. For example, she tried to avoid talking about the problem.
Those are really useful words, Alex. So, listeners, our first question for you: when do you usually feel overwhelmed or find yourself procrastinating? Is it with work, studies, or maybe chores at home?
And think about why. Does it happen when a task seems too big, or when you're not sure how to start? We'd love to hear your experiences.
Yes, please share your thoughts in the comments section for this episode. For example, I often procrastinate when I have to write something long, like a report. I feel overwhelmed by the blank page.
And for me, It used to be making phone calls I didn't want to make. I would find many other important things to do first. Understanding that helped me find ways to deal with it.
Okay, so we've talked about why we might not feel like doing anything. Now, for the important part, Alex, what can we actually do about it? How can we find that energy or spark?
Great question, Anna. There are several useful things you can do. One of the best is to break down large tasks into smaller, easier steps.
Ah, the baby steps idea. I like that. So instead of clean the entire house, it's clean the kitchen sink, then wipe the counters.
Exactly. When you finish these small parts, it helps you to keep going, and the big task doesn't look so difficult or scary. Another useful idea is the 5-minute rule.
The 5-minute rule? Tell me more.
The idea is to tell yourself you'll only work on a task for 5 minutes, just 5. Often, starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, you might find you want to continue for longer.
That sounds really clever. So, if I don't want to exercise, I can just tell myself, okay, just 5 minutes of stretching. And maybe after 5 minutes, I'll feel like doing a bit more.
Exactly. It's a good way to help your brain start. Also, creating a good environment, a conducive environment, can make a big difference. This means making your workspace tidy and without things that stop you from focusing.
Oh, that's a good point. It's hard to focus when my phone is buzzing every 2 minutes or my desk is messy. So, a clean space can mean a clearer mind?
It often does. And remember, rewards are very powerful. Plan something enjoyable for after you complete a task, even a small one. It could be a cup of tea, a short break, or listening to a song. This helps to reinforce good habits.
I like the sound of rewards. So, finish a difficult email, then enjoy a piece of chocolate. What about just feeling good generally, our health? Does that play a part?
Absolutely, Anna. Making sure you get enough sleep, eat healthy food, and do some exercise can really change your energy levels and motivation. Sometimes the reason you don't feel like doing anything is simply because your body and mind need care. It's not always about forcing yourself to continue. Sometimes it's about recharging.
That's so important to remember. It's okay to rest and recharge. It's not a sign of being weak.
Not at all, in fact. It's a good thing to know when you need to recharge. Many experts agree that taking short breaks during the day can actually help you do more work and focus better over time. Now let's look at a few more useful words and phrases from our talk. First, the phrasal verb to break down a task. Definition: to divide something like a large task into smaller, easier parts. For example, it's easier to complete a big project if you break it down into smaller steps. We also talked about a conducive environment. So conducive. Definition: providing the right conditions for something good to happen or exist. Helpful. For example, a quiet room is conducive to studying. It helps you study. Then there's the verb to reinforce. Definition: to make something stronger, often an idea, a habit, or a feeling. For example, giving a dog a treat when it does what you ask helps to reinforce good behavior. And finally, the important idea of to recharge. Definition: to get back your energy, to rest so you can be active again. For example, I like to spend my weekends in nature to recharge my batteries after a busy week. Now, for our listeners, which of these ideas do you think would work best for you? Breaking down tasks, the 5-minute rule, creating a better environment, or something else?
Or maybe you have your own special trick for when you don't feel like doing anything. We'd love for you to share it. Let us know in the comments. For me, I think the 5-minute rule is something I'm definitely going to try more often.
And I find that making sure my workspace is tidy before I start a difficult task really helps me to focus. Small changes can make a big difference.
Well, Alex, this has been a really helpful talk. It's good to know that everyone feels unmotivated sometimes, and there are simple things we can do.
Yes, that's right, Anna. The main things to remember are to understand why you might be feeling that way. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, tired, or you don't have clear goals. And then to try some simple ideas. Break down tasks, use the 5-minute rule, Create a good environment and don't forget to reward yourself and recharge.
And remember, it's a process. Some days will be easier than others. Be kind to yourself. And speaking of being helpful, don't forget to check out the PDF in the episode description. It has all the key vocabulary we discussed today, plus some exercises to help you practice.
It's a great PDF to help reinforce what you've learned.
Thank you all so much for listening to Simple English Connect today. We hope you found this episode useful and feel a little more ready to deal with those moments of low motivation.
If you enjoyed this episode, please think about subscribing to our podcast, giving us a rating, or sharing it with friends who are also learning English.
We'd really appreciate it. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, take care and keep practicing.
Goodbye, everyone.